Just ahead on CTV News tonight, the Prince George's County Council is looking to expand the youth curfew law. Plus, it's National Work Zone Safety Awareness Week.
I'm standing on I-70 where state leaders have gathered to get an important message across regarding work zones. I'm Katara Jones. I'll have all those details coming up on CTV News.
And Ernest Burley is in the studio to talk about budgeting. CTV News starts now.
Good evening, I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Mariah Jalad with a CTV News update. The debate over juvenile justice continues in the county, and today a new bill extending juvenile curfews has council members at a difference of opinion over where the problem starts. Council member Ed Burrows sponsors the bill, but even he says the youth are not the problem and blames the Parks and Planning Commission for not funding youth programs.
Curfews are not going to solve our problem. At best, they are a band-aid to a much larger problem. Where the attention should be, in my opinion, is what the county government is doing to engage young people in a constructive way after school, on the weekends, and throughout the summer. Taxpayers give over $400 million to park and planning. A lot of that money goes to the recreational fund. What is happening with that money? Where is it going? Are we meeting the needs of our most vulnerable young people? I believe the answer is absolutely not.
On the other hand, Council Chair Jolene Ivey believes youth violence issues in the county stem from a parenting problem and hopes a curfew will protect local businesses.
I just wish people would be stay on top of their kids, their young people, and make sure they're involved in really positive activities, and to know that it is not the thing to drop your kids off somewhere at some commercial area and just let them run. So these are places that are designed for the public to enjoy and for the businesses to be able to run well. We just want to make sure that the business community has the tools they need to keep their businesses running in a really positive way.
Still, both council members support the bill, with which Chairwoman Ivey says she expects to pass in as little as 2 weeks.
A fourth body is recovered of another missing victim from the Key Bridge incident site. Mexican authorities have identified the victim as Carlos Daniel Hernandez, but Maryland State Police are not disclosing the victim's name at this time at request of the family. His body was transported to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner and positively identified on April 15th. One of the salvage teams located one of the missing construction vehicles on April 14th and promptly notified state police. They, along with the FBI and the Maryland Transportation Authority police, located the deceased victim trapped inside the vehicle. Investigators and others met with the family yesterday to offer their condolences. And coalitions are lining up to change the name of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge once it's reconstructed. Piscataway tribal member Rico Newman says the bridge name should reflect the native people of Baltimore who have long been written off of the map.
I would like for Maryland to do something unheard of, and that is to acknowledge some of its past by renaming this bridge for the Conestoga people. It's a long story as to what their association and as to what happened with the Conestoga people ultimately. But it would be in remembrance of something that happened that's much greater than anybody's personality or any individual that has a name for themselves. I think it speaks more broadly to the history, not just of this state, but of this country.
Meantime, a caucus of African American leaders wants the replacement bridge renamed in honor of the late Congressman Perrin Mitchell. Mitchell was the first African American elected to the U.S. House from Maryland.
And an officer-involved shooting leaves a man injured at a busy marketplace in Oxon Hill. The incident, which involved Forest Heights police, happened last night around 4:30 at the Rivertown Commons. That's on the 6200 block of Oxon Hill Road. Investigators say police pulled over a car in connection with an earlier assault. They say the suspect got out of the car with a knife and was shot by police when he refused to drop the weapon. The man was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and the shooting remains under investigation. And a new poll looking at the race for a U.S. Senate seat in Maryland has David Trone widening his lead over Angela Alsobrooks. But that same poll, conducted by the Baltimore Sun, Fox 45, and the University of Baltimore, shows each of them losing to former Governor Larry Hogan. The poll shows Trone leading Alsobrooks 48% to 29%, but when looking at Trone versus Hogan, Trone trails 40 to 53%. In a matchup between Alsobrooks and Hogan, the former governor is ahead 54% to 36%. The poll of nearly 1,300 voters has a margin of error of plus or minus 3 percentage points.
Well, we've heard time and time again about the importance of driving safely through work zones. State officials are reiterating this message this week. CTV's Katira Jones is at the westbound I-70 bridge with more.
The message today from state leaders is very simple. Motorists must slow down, stay alert, and move over safely when possible in work zones. Now, this press conference comes after 6 highway workers died in the center median of I-695 in Woodlawn last year. Now, today, during National Work Zone Awareness Week, Maryland leaders gathered to honor those victims as well as the workers who died during the collapse of the Keep Bridge and others who have died in work zones across Maryland.
Below us is an ongoing project that enhances Maryland's transportation system. It's also where we lost 6 members of our transportation family. Our goal is to build and maintain a safe, efficient, and equitable transportation system that serves all users. To do that, our dedicated highway professionals must work alongside traffic, often traveling at high speeds. We must work together to provide them with the respect and protection they deserve.
We're closing additional lanes in some work zones to add more buffer between our crews and traffic. We're working closely with our partners at the Maryland State Police to increase speed enforcement in our work zones. And we applaud the work of our legislators to embrace the recommendations from the Work Zone Work Group during the recent General Assembly.
Officials want to remind drivers that work zone crashes are preventable. And here in Maryland, there are about 300 active work zones every day across the state. Katira Jones, CTV News.
And police are investigating a fatal pedestrian accident. It happened last night just after 11 o'clock at the intersection of John Rogers Boulevard and Cortland Lane in Upper Marlboro. Investigators say 81-year-old Tamel Burke was struck. He was taken to a local hospital and later pronounced dead. The driver of the striking vehicle did remain at the scene and was not injured. Anyone who may have information is asked to call police. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Mariah Jalad.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. After the break, financial planner Ernest Burley is here with this week's Money Matters segment. We'll be back in just a moment.
I surrender.
All right, pal.
Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
Can I play with it?
No, absolutely not. It's not a toy. You know that. Anyway, I need it to protect you, your sister, and Mom.
But what about the 8 kids who get shot every day by mistake?
Where'd you hear that?
Where do you keep it?
It's hidden.
I bet it's on the top shelf of the closet, under your sweatshirts. Is it loaded? Remember when I found my Christmas gift? You always told me to be curious.
No, that's not what I meant.
And when it's just me and Mom, I could use the gun to protect her.
No, Justin, I promise. I'm always here for you.
But Dad, you're not always here.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2?
1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on. Learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
Welcome back. Well, with inflation driving up the price of everyday items, budgeting is more important now than ever.
But how do you start a budget and how do you stick to it and still enjoy life? Ernest Burley of Burley Insurance and Financial Services is here to help you stay on budget. So, Mr. Burley, with many of us with student loans and all sort of other bills we have to worry about paying, why is it important to set a budget for yourself or for your household?
Yeah, it's very important to do that because you have to have a sense of where your money is going, how much money you have coming in and what's going out and what's left over to do what's towards your best advantage. You can't just live aimlessly through life, yeah.
So budgeting is always so difficult, probably for everybody, but what is it? What are some of those key priorities you need to do?
Some of the key elements like of a budget are, of course, money coming in, so your income, your expenses, I say tracking, and also allocating. I think those are 4 major concepts that you need to implement in budgeting.
Okay, so those are those key elements, but how do you work them together? How much should each element take up in a budget?
Right, so there's no way to do that unless I actually see what's going on, but if you put them on one document and you see the money you have coming in, some people have multiple streams of income, some people just have one, and then you look at all of your expenses and you track your expenses to see, okay, where am I overspending? Where do I need to maybe put more money? And you allocate accordingly. So that's how those 4 things work together.
So a lot of people, are on track and doing well, and then inflation hits, and the numbers just don't work anymore. How do you adjust for that kind of thing?
You have to tweak it. Now, when I see budgets, a lot of times I see a lot of people wasting a lot of money in categories they don't know they're wasting money in. So you take a look at it, you take a really hard look at what's going on there, where your money is going, and where you can cut back. I see hundreds of dollars of places people can cut back all the time, but they don't realize it until they see it on paper.
So what are some of the tools that people can use when they're setting up a budget?
Good segue. Cash flow worksheet. So that's the document that lets you see the money that's coming in, the money that's going out. It adds up whether you're in the black or the red. Black means you have more money coming in than going out. If you're in the red, you have more money going out than coming in. And then it also allows you to track what your expenses are, and you can allocate. You can say, well, man, I'm spending too much money in entertainment. Let me pull $100 out here and put this in my savings or my IRA and reallocate it. So the cash flow worksheet is the document you want to use.
When we talk about some of those things you were just mentioning, you see somebody's budget and I'm assuming dining out, is that a big one?
Eating out is the biggest one. I normally see hundreds of dollars wasted in eating out, and sometimes it goes into the thousands per month where people are wasting. You used to only be able to get pizza delivered. Now you can get everything delivered to your front door, and that really messes up people's budget. They just DoorDash everything or Grubhub or all. I've never used any of them, but people do all the time.
I see. So once you kind of set that budget, how can you keep yourself in line? I've set this certain amount aside for shopping, eating out. How can I make sure I'm sticking to that?
So there are 2 kind of good ways to do that. Use your debit card instead of your credit card. But I'm going to put a caveat there because when you use plastic, you normally spend more than you want to anyway. But it's better than the credit card because that's la-la land, right? So the debit card, at least that's coming out of your bank account. And if you really want to drill down on something, use the envelope system. That will keep you on budget for sure.
If you do use that credit card, the key paying it off at the end of the month in full?
Yes. Every time I speak somewhere, someone tells me someone told them they should always keep a balance on their credit card. And I'm like, what in the world? No, you pay it to 0 every month. You only charge what you can pay off when that statement comes due.
I see. So you mentioned the envelope system. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, that's a system wherein you budget for a particular category and you put cash in an envelope and you label the envelope and say, okay, this is how much I'm spending this week for this particular category. When you run out of cash, you don't spend in that category anymore, right? And you become much more conscious about what you're spending because you don't want to run out of cash, right, in that category.
The family, how do you get them involved in this budget?
Well, it depends on which family, little family or big family. I would highly advocate everyone taking a look at the household expenses. Now, it depends on how old your children are as to what you want to tell them what your income is not, because they may be telling the whole school. But I would highly recommend them understanding the concept of expenses, the mortgage, food, gas, phone bill, so they understand that things cost money, right? Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Burley, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you back here next Tuesday.
Sounds good.
And individuals should contact their own financial professionals and attorneys to help answer questions about specific situations or needs before taking any action based on this information. Well, Simon Buggs is here with a sneak peek of the Tuesday Sports page.
Simon, what's going on?
What's up, sports fans? Coming up on your Tuesday sports page, a Maryland native's WNBA dreams come true. That story and more in a bit. Stay right there.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health, my own mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I've never been more devastated than the day I lost my mom. I was depressed, miserable, in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. The chaos that was in me began to subside. I was more focused, clear. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. That's not up for debate. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Okay, now that's going places.
I want to go places too.
I know you do, buddy. I want you to have more opportunities than I had. I found a place.
So I would live in Hershey, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, but you'll live with other students from all over the country, and a house parent couple too.
I'll be able to discover what's next for me.
I would come visit, and you can come home to visit too.
Can we apply?
Hey, I've got good news.
Discover a path to receiving an exceptional educational experience with all costs covered.
I'll see you soon. You're gonna be great.
Find your future at Milton Hershey School.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, the largest producer of eggs in the country, Cal-Maine Foods, is forced to stop production at one of its facilities and kill 1.6 million hens and more than 337,000 chicks due to the bird flu. News of the incident comes on the heels of the avian influenza spreading among livestock in Texas a few weeks ago. Experts say if this flu continues to spread, it will have an impact on the supply chain, affecting the prices of eggs, poultry, milk, and beef. Maryland has restricted the movement of cattle into local farms after news that the virus spread to dairy farms in 7 states.
And some Kia drivers are breathing a little easier after receiving free software upgrades to prevent people from stealing their cars. Kia America recently held an anti-theft upgrade clinic at National Harbor. It comes amid a rise in thefts of certain models, fueled by a popular social media challenge that shows how to use a USB to steal the cars.
I need to stop using the club on my car. I had to put the club in there every time I park my car, so I'm definitely getting updated so these people won't steal my car, because they are stealing a lot of cars out here today. I'm definitely happy because, like I said, every time I park my car, I'm scared. So, and a lot of people are stealing these cars out here, and it's really crazy that you can steal a car with a jack from your phone. It's crazy. So I'm definitely getting updated, and I'm happy I'm getting it.
Over 100 people received the anti-theft upgrade at the clinic.
Prince George's launches a new biodiesel transit pilot program for its bus service. The initiative, which is supported through the state's open grant program, is expected to reduce emissions and decarbonize the air in underserved communities. It will use the Optimus Vector system, an advanced fuel system upgrade, to power buses with the B100 biodiesel. In addition, electric buses will be used for certain routes. The county could potentially reduce direct carbon emissions by 450,000 metric tons over 10 years with this technology.
Hey there, sports fans, get ready because it's time for your Tuesday Sports Page. Starting with some WNBA news, Baltimore native Angel Reese's dreams came true last night as she was selected 7th overall by the Chicago Sky in this year's draft. Reese had an amazing college career at LSU, winning a national championship in 2023. She was also a 2-time first-team All-American and was the SEC Player of the Year this past season. And Reese touched on what went into her decision to declare for the draft.
I wanted more for myself. I wanted to start over. I feel like I had been in a high since the national championship, and I want to hit rock bottom. I want to be a rookie again. I want to be knocked down by vets, and I want to be able to get up and grow and be a sponge. So I'm just super excited to play with the amazing players and against amazing players. And this league is really competitive, and I'm a competitive player, so I want to play against a lot of players.
Moving on to more WNBA news, the Washington Mystics added another piece for the future as well as they selected forward Aaliyah Edwards out of UConn. Edwards, who was a Wooden Award All-American and a second-team All-American, played a big role in her team reaching the Final Four, but the Lady Huskies did fall to Iowa 71-69. For the Huskies this past season, Edwards averaged 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists to go along with 2 steals and a block per game. Now to the world of college basketball, UMD men's basketball players Jameer Young and Dante Scott have been selected to participate in the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. This tournament allows seniors to compete in front of NBA scouts and agents. Scott had a solid career for the Terps with averages of 11 points and 5 boards per game. The All-Big Ten honorable mention also finished his college career ranked top 10 in the program's history in rebounds with 859. And Young finished the season averaging 20 points a game, which was 3rd in the Big Ten. Young also made the All-Big Ten first team and the NABC's All-District 7 first team. The tournament lasts from April 17th to the 20th. And that wraps up your Tuesday Sports Page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Now let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be mostly cloudy out. Wednesday, showers are likely with a chance of thunderstorms, and we'll have a high of 68.
Thursday, light rain continues, but we'll see a high of 74, and kicking off the weekend just right, Friday will be nice and sunny out with a high of 67 and a low of 52.
And now for the community calendar, Council member Crystal Oriata is hosting a budget town hall meeting.
Residents are encouraged to discuss the 2025 fiscal year budget and community issues. The event takes place tonight from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Oakcrest Community Center.
And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Mariah Jalad.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Join us again tomorrow. Have a great evening.